making. And she tends native and drought-resistant plants and flowers as materials in her art making. And here we go, Jay. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Vicky. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Lorraine, for the marvelous poems you just read. Vicky, Jennifer, Marcy, for all of your work. And of course, the wonderful Southern California Haiku Study Group. I put my poems in PowerPoint this morning. So that's how the new order is. So I'm trying to, I don't know where I'll vanish, but I'm going to vanish and put my PowerPoint on the screen. My apologies if I vanish. My reading has 3 sections. The first section I call the deep ecology of haiku. So I'll be reading some of the classics and masters, Basho, Busan, Issa, and primarily from the book, The Essential Haiku, edited by Robert Haas, Echo Press, 1994. First, poems by Basho. The cicada shell.
Jay, before you start, were you going to put your words on the screen?
Can we do that?
Yes, you can. You can share your screen.
Oh, thank you. I'll do that then.
Okay, so Jennifer enabled us to share our screens.
Okay. Can you all see now?
Yes, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
We can. Thank you.
Thank you. A cicada shell, it sang itself utterly away. I don't know which tree it comes from, that fragrance. Clouds of blossoms, that temple bell. Is it Ueno, Asakusa? Even in Kyoto, hearing the cuckoo's cry, I long for Kyoto. Poems by Busan. Coming back so many pathways through the spring grass. Field of bright mustard, the moon in the east, the sun in the west. They swallow clouds and spit out blossoms, the Yoshino Mountains. Plum blossoms here and there. It's good to go north, good to go south. Poems by Issa. What a strange thing to be alive beneath cherry blossoms. Even with insects, some can sing, some can't. Shinano, as soon as the snow goes, the gnats arrive. In this world, we walk on the roof of hell, gazing at flowers. So in this section, I call Haiku Resonances, and primarily the poems are selected from Haiku Mind by Patricia Donegan, published by Shambhala Press, 2008. violets here and there in the ruins of my burnt house. Picked by an old woman's hand, herbs green and glowing. A white lotus, the monk decides to cut it. After the riot, such a perfect moonlit night. After the rain, bomb craters filled with stars. The wall, yet these little birds. In between Kabul bombings, voices of crickets. The gull, given loneliness, sound. Migrate birds, fields of pampa grass, show the way. The vast night, now nothing left but the fragrance. So this last section, I'm going to be sharing some of my poems that have appeared in our Southern California Haiku Study Group and some very new poems. Pandemic spring, I planted 6 lily bulbs, a hopeful burial. Spring rain, fresh dews on petals, refresh my heart. Bucket in hand, pouring into parched garden soil, I lift spring rain. Waxen moon, I sow blue late beans and count the order of things. A giant galanga leaves, so much depends on luminous night. Hibiscus flower wraps itself into a puzzle, Mother Nature's industry. Early in spring, a million things blossoming, white wall. A migrant woman breaks open new garden ground, spring after invasion. Night shelling, a village house shines, blue and yellow in the first daylight. The mockingbird sings, spring sings, April is not the coolest month. Warm spring, salvia ponzo blue, dancing spheres of light. Thank you all so much.
Oh, Jay, wow. Jay, that was beautiful. I love your choice of the poet masters, and your poems gave me goosebumps. I love the spring rain and the hibiscus. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we have our third poet, Charles Harmon. Hi, Charles. Charles published a story.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Charles published a story in a local newspaper in the 4th grade. He produced hundreds of poems, his first love, songs, stories, articles, photographs, artwork, screenplays, and novels. He won on the Hollywood poetry slam in 2006. The $85 first prize. Excuse me. Then he went to his car and discovered a $100 parking ticket. So he says, don't quit your day job until you're a star. Here goes Charles. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good to see a lot of people I know, or at least I've met on Zoom, like Dr. Ignatius from Canada. Hope to meet some of you in person at one of our live meetings as they resume. And hope to go sailing in San Diego with Richard Mata. But some wonderful poetry coming from so many people. And I'm tempted to follow the librarian's cue and quote a couple of haiku from some great haiku poet. I need to research more and learn more about that. But Issa is one of my favorites, and my two favorites of his are Little Snail, Climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, slowly.
Charles, that's my favorite.
And I say the best for last. My favorite is The World of Dew is a world of dew, and yet. And this isn't exactly about nature, but I put those two together and came up with a scenario of my own. Sinatra sings Issa, doobie doobie doo, but slowly, slowly. But I like that idea that you can accomplish great things, even a little snail, if you do it step by step and never give up. And wow, Issa had a hard life. When I think about some of our problems, geez, he had a really hard life, and it was a world of dew. And yet, there's so much potential, so much possible. So I have some of my haiku. A day in the life of a mayfly. A day in the life of a mayfly. After rain, only the clouds are higher. Redwood forest. Even in muddy puddles, starlight. Even in muddy puddles, starlight. For only seconds, feeling eternity, April sunrise. For only seconds, feeling eternity, April sunrise. Even the smallest leaf, connected. Even the smallest leaf, connected. Jumping out of the dark in a lightning flash, red roses. Jumping out of the dark in a lightning flash, red roses. Even through snow, daffodils. Even through snow, daffodils. Little red wagon rusting in the garden, bursting with flowers. Little red wagon rusting in the garden, bursting with flowers. Living each day like it's the last, mayfly. Living each day like it's the last, mayfly. Phases of the moon, every month, the same new thing. Phases of the moon, every month, the same new thing. Prairie dog town, in a paddock, horses stepping carefully. Prairie dog town, in a paddock, horses stepping carefully. Too many to count in one night, lucky stars. Too many to count in one night, lucky stars. Clean sweep, the ants finish what the broom missed. Clean sweep, the ants finish what the broom missed. Dancing through the cactus garden, a child's balloon. Dancing through the cactus garden, a child's balloon. A single chestnut still clinging amongst green buds. A single chestnut still clinging among green buds. Burned out chainsaw rusting in spring rain. Saplings. Burned out chainsaw rusting in spring rain. Saplings. Black pond, black swan, ripples spreading. Black pond, black swan, ripples spreading. Far from the sea, gulls fight for schoolyard scraps, free for all. Far from the sea, gulls fight for schoolyard scraps, free for all. Springing forward into a new year, same old pond. Springing forward into a new year, same old pond. High above the snapping turtles, dragonfly. High above the snapping turtles, dragonfly. Even a rose has thorns, drop of blood. Even a rose has thorns, drop of blood. Flash of a rainbow trout caught between the moon and a sunbeam. Flash of a rainbow trout caught between the moon and a sunbeam. Chasing sunset, the evening star, another sight of morning. Chasing sunset, the evening star, another side of morning. Ancient orchard, sour green apples, still sweet in memory. Ancient orchard, sour green apples, still sweet in memory. Revealing herself layer by layer, Grand Canyon in fog. Revealing herself layer by layer, Grand Canyon in fog. Green lichen on a redwood tree, snail race. Green lichen on a redwood tree, snail race. Even the cactus dying of thirst, 100 years drought. Even the cactus dying of thirst, 100 years drought. Live oak, just barely, heat dome. Live oak, just barely, heat dome. Bending without breaking under heavy snow, winter larch. Bending without breaking under heavy snow, winter larch. First drop of rain becomes two oceans, continental divide. First drop of rain becomes two oceans, continental divide. Milky Way at midnight, familiar constellations return as old friends. Milky Way at midnight, familiar constellations return as old friends. Aurora Borealis, scintillating, haiku up in lights. Aurora Borealis, scintillating, haiku up in lights. Gracing the flowers with her presence, butterfly. Gracing the flowers with her patience, butterfly. Bending us to their reality, flowers. Bending us to their reality, flowers. And I know this is going to be hard for you to take. This is not only my last haiku, but it's a kind of a judgment on us. Flowers are a 10, the rest of us somewhere in between. Flowers are a 10, the rest of us somewhere in between. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, Charles. Yeah, I like that. I like that last one. Really, really, really poignant. And I love your eternity and Aurora Borealis and that balloon in the cactus garden. Those were terrific. Thanks.
I actually saw that a couple of weeks ago. We had some stormy weather and I saw a partially deflated helium balloon kind of bouncing down the street in the wind, and it went right through my neighbor's cactus garden without popping. I was amazed, but wanted to run out and get a video, but just keep it in my memory.
Well, you captured it there. Wow. Thanks. Very meaningful. Thanks. Now we have up next, we have Dylan Hutchins, number 4 poet. Dylan has been exploring haiku since the 7th grade and eventually found the Southern California Haiku Study Group when they met in Long Beach. She likes to keep things short and simple, like her name. So in her busy life, the 3-line form fits right in. Her work has been published in Drifting Sands, Bottle Rocket Press, and numerous anthologies. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Okay, I organized the haiku that I'm going to read by season, starting with spring, since we are in spring. Spring's first day, yet the sky does not let on window tears. Tender leaves unfurl to gentle spring rain, shades of jade. Patiently awaiting desert rain, the tenacity of wildflowers. Spring sky, the trees a twitter with birdsong. An unexpected garden delight, butterfly whirlwind. A finch perches on the bough, whispering pines. A tribute to spring, origami butterflies dance in the breeze. Eyelids flutter in morning sunlight, dreams of butterflies. Hummingbird hovers above the calla lilies, cool garden breeze. At dusk, they race with tumbleweeds, baby rabbits. At twilight, the full moon dresses in lavender sky. Out like a lion, the wind whips up a cherry blossom tornado. May gray, jacaranda puddles float on the pond. April heat wave, the scent of jasmine in the sun. Nesting dove laments, her mate free falls to broken wing fain. Oregon springtime, the peaks of the Three Sisters still covered in snow. Poppy fields already gone to seed, unseasonable heat. Summer afternoon, a single swallowtail sails against blue sky. Sweet pea perfume strangles the summer night. Desert breeze sings a soft song, wind chime. Mesquite branches brush the sky blue, desert wind. Under a canopy of desert stars, coyote choir. Wind whispering through desert pines, the crows finally quiet. Standing in the shadow of redwoods, tiny as a blade of grass. Evening serenade, a dove coos through the whisper of pines. The birds, still confused, total eclipse aftermath. Summer solace found within a shell, sound of the sea. Sleepy memories lift like kites to the sky, second wind. Summer sun scorches stucco wall, lizard shadow. Drought dry land, yet through its cracks a flower grows. Heated downpour, the cicadas celebrate rainy season. Fireflies speckle the dark summer night, souls of the deceased. In the shade of mesquite, a covey of quail. Rainy season, we watch the bamboo grow in real time. Stars shine brighter in a new moon sky. Make a wish. These days, everything is supersized. Tonight, even the moon. Last flames of sunset extinguished in Pacific blue. October afternoon, the rustle of wind through dry leaves. The leaves twirl and dance, a spectacular ballet under harvest moon. The devil's breath sweeps trees bare, Santa Ana winds. Ash falls from a jaundiced sky, firestorm. Cirrus clouds forewarn autumn gloom. Each day darker, each day diminished, autumn melancholy. How the light changes through the thin, cold air. Winter dawn. Drunk and disorderly, the wild birds binge on winter berries. Winter in SoCal, the bougainvillea blossoms still cling to the vine. The winter wind breathes white magic between land and sky. Blood moon hangs like an orange from winter bare branch. Banshee screams pierce the night. Wolf moon rises. Chasing rainbows in a dark December sky, the pain of hope. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Eloquent reading, Dylan. Thank you. Love the soft song and swallowtails and banshees and rabbits and butterflies. Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. We have our last poet, Debbie Ecology. Hi, Deb. Ecology. Yes. Hi there. She is California Regional Coordinator for the Haiku Society of America and the current moderator of the Southern California Haiku Study Group. Our group here, our leader. Her book, Highway of Sleeping Towns, won a Touchstone Distinguished Book Award from the Haiku Foundation, and she enjoys botanic garden walks for haiku inspiration. Inspiration comes from everywhere, yes. Thanks, Debbie. Here's our Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to all who have come to witness this lovely reading. Thanks to Marcy and the others who organized this, and the California Botanic Garden for hosting us. And I really want to thank Vicki Maiko for organizing the Southern California Haiku Study Group reading. My reading today will be of haiku that I've published in the last 2 years. And I've divided it into sections, and the first section will be gardens and parks. During the pandemic, my background of solace and haiku inspiration, as things started to open up, I started taking gardening walks around the various public gardens and parks we are blessed with here in Southern California.
You froze up, Debbie. Did you lose your,
Oh, darn.
Debbie,
Oh.
you're frozen. Did you lose your, what you call it?
Deb, did you lose your connection? Yikes.
The Wi-Fi?
Uh-oh.
Jennifer, is there anything you can do for Debbie? Oh, I think she's closed out and then she's going to come back in.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if she comes back in.
Okay. So while we're waiting, I wanted to thank Vicki and tell her bio. I forgot to tell your bio, Vicki. I was so excited to see everybody. But she's the captain, and she's been spearheading this for the Southern California Haiku Study Group. And she tells me that she loves haiku in all its forms, and she's a published poet, artist, and photographer.
Thank
And
you.
did you bring any of your own poems, Vicki?
Oh, no,
Oh,
no.
next
Okay,
time.
I'm back. I don't know why I got disconnected in the middle of my reading.
We waited for you.
Okay, so I don't know where I lost. So I'm going to start at the top of my garden. I
Yeah,
guess because I have, I was looking at my, okay, anyway, I'm going to get started with the gardens and parks. Scattered thoughts, a lizard on the garden path. Park bench, a skipper butterfly sits a while. Park play date, a trellis of climbing roses. Cactus garden, 600,000 needles reflected in afternoon sun. Another pot of geraniums, my doctor's bias. No matter what I say, the bee still moves flower to flower. Pruning away thorns from my life. Bougainvillea. Summer breeze, white butterflies flitter near the bamboo. Prickly lettuce invading the yard. Caterpillars. Quiet afternoon. Only sparrows at the feeder. Growing during the pandemic. Bearded iris. Backyard filled with visitors. Butterflies. Mountains shrouded with morning mist. Aloe blooms. Bare root roses. My garden gloves covered with last year's dirt. Bulbs dormant in this bare planter. Colorful dreams. Breakfast on the patio. Dragonfly moments. Empty feeder. A hummingbird checks anyway. The next section of poems are about ocean. The ocean has always been my muse. I've always loved going to the Yukiteki Haiku Society retreat up at Asilomar by Pacific Grove. And if I need a haiku inspiration, all I need to do is sit by the ocean and watch the waves for a bit. Low tide. An ochre sea star clings to the rock. Tangled kelp. A crab scurries along the tide line. Lull tide. The constellation I trace in sand. Ocean fog. The persistent calls of gulls. Slack tide. A Sanderling beachcomber in the rack zone. The sea and I speak of art. Driftwood. That one's for Cathabella. Surfside rise. Our hoof prints erased by the incoming tide. Salt wind. Each step in the sand, a beat bit deeper. Deja vu echoes of sea lions. Arcs of jumping millet, setting sun. Wharf bird commotion, a sea lion rolls over. Glass bottom boat, feeling the sway of a kelp forest. Salt breeze, a line of sailboats under the horizon. My next section is birds. No matter where I am, whether I'm in the backyard or in a garden or at the ocean, the birds always seem to capture my attention. Awkwardly alone, a pelican unfolds. Pond ripples, the heron and I, both still. Songs of bulbuls drift from the trees, the long, lonely days. Shade creeping across the patio, crows. Circling the subject, turkey vultures. Sea lavender in the salt marsh, tern song. The gossip at her bridal tea, sparrows. Trouble swallowing your excuse, the heron's nest. Moonless night, an owl flies low over the highway. Parrot fly by, his newly waxed car. Silent month. I don't know why this is in the bird section. Anyway, silent month, a bee buzzes the lavender. Social distancing, scrub jays gather in the jacaranda. House fitches at the feeder, cancer support group. Alone, a great blue heron fills up the sky. On the next nature poems, I really went for nature poems this time. I've grouped under the heading forests, meadows, and mountains. Back when I was a little bit more fit, I loved to hike, and I can't wait to get myself well enough to go hiking again. Shedding my worry, litter fall on the forest floor. Waterfall hike, the sound rushes us up the trail. Acorn footpath, woodpeckers tapping in the oak forest. Bird song, sun streaks brighten the somber forest. Summer wildflowers, a stray black-eyed Susan holds its ground. Yellow fragrance, heralding spring, cowslip primrose. Meadow buttercups, I grow into my curves. Light ripples through the eucalyptus, wintering monarchs. Haunted by the wind, Monterey, Cyprus. Miles upstream of the salmon, my thoughts. Canopy shyness, why do I feel radioactive? I have 2 more sections and hopefully my voice will hold. Deserts. We used to have a haiku group desert walk once a year. We haven't had it in a number of years and I miss those days. Here are just a few desert ones. Fault line. The solace of a fan palm oasis. Desert trumpet. The religion of wildflowers. May crowning at the Mission Church, saguaro blooms. Long trail to oasis, desert bluebells. Cluster of barrel cactus, morning glow. And my final grouping of haiku are, I have flipped as national parks. And I've written these, or they were inspired by various national parks. Resigned to your understory, sequoias. Canyon layers, a raven flies to a new era. Petrified wood, a raven broods. Refusing to admit her age, bristlecone pine. A cappella crickets, I stand alone with the stars. Yosemite foothills, the individual trumpets of fiddleheads. Her eyes, my eyes, Mirror Lake. Deer in the clearing, the filtered orange of morning light. Vista Point, those few moments alone with the horizon. And finally, Death Valley sand, ripples of loneliness. Thank you very much.
Oh, Deb. Thank you.
Wow, Debbie, that's great.
That was just gorgeous. Beauty, beauty. The ocean is also my muse, and birds, your tide lines and constellations. I loved every one of your poems. And I hope you'll be able to rush up the hill very soon. I'm sure you will.
I want to go with you, Debbie.
Yeah, me too.
As soon as I can put weight on my leg, I want to go with you.
Yeah. Yeah, me
I
too.
want to go to Asilomar too. That just sounds so fascinating.
Yeah.
I've
Thank
written
you.
so many haiku at Asilomar. It's just like, even when I go back and read the haiku, what I think about haiku that I love is that it captures that moment. And I remember being there, you know, like the Raven, what I did in the Grand Canyon, I was sitting in this sort of bench on the rim and there was a tree and the Raven was in the tree. And I watched that Raven for a long time and I could see all of the eras of rock behind it. And at some point it flew off and went to a tree that was lower, down a bit. And I literally remember thinking, oh, it flew to a new era. And every time I read that poem, I see myself sitting on the bench by the rim looking at that Raven, you know. So it's kind of funny that haiku is that way. It captures that moment. You never forget it.
Yeah, that's
Certainly sure does.
It's simple.
Well, everyone captured so many beautiful moments. I think we're all in the right place, everyone. Thank you. That was pretty stunning.
Thank you, Mickey. Vicky, I'm showing it's about 11. Is that right? What time is
Yeah.
it? So we have time for a break. We have time for chit chat. If you'd like to stay on, maybe in about 15 minutes we'll go get a drink or snack or something, and I might start our group sooner than 11:30, but you can stay and chit chat with each other and just stay on. I'm gonna go get a blanket because it's really cold today.
And Marcy, you need to put your foot up
Well, I'm putting it
on your dictionary.
on my diction and parallel, but it's not above my heart. And the doctor said, well, put it above your heart. Well, if I put it above my heart, it'd be like that. And then that would be really gross. So
No, it's not gross. No.
Marcy Ann,
Do it.
It's okay. It's all right. It just looks like
Yeah.
you're an adventurer or something.
Yeah. And
just-
we love your sock. Yeah,
Hey,
do
Mar-
it that way. That's good. You
I
got
can't do that
Kermit
forever, though.
Yeah.
saying hello.
hey, Marcy,
What?
above your heart, not necessarily, just as long as it's elevated, like about waist level, you'll still be okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's
Like a chair, if
the
you've got a chair,
dictionary is waist level.
yeah, but don't worry about above your heart.
Well, my doctor said, blood runs downhill, and I'm going.
Well, it
Yeah.
does, but I've had blood clots in my legs, and trust me, you can, if you can get it in a chair and with a pillow on it, you'll be okay.
Okay, I think I'll move the dictionary to the other side, though. The dictionary is this fat.
Ooh.
So you guys talk to yourselves, and I'll come back in a little bit, and let's have a little break. And Jennifer, I wanted to ask you if the pictures of the garden, if we can run those while we're breaking.
Yeah, I can. I'll put a video in the background, sort of. So if you want to still be able to see people's faces, there'll be like a little divider on the screen. And for most people on your computers, you can kind of make each side bigger or smaller, whether you want to see the video bigger or the people's faces bigger.
Oh, is that in the view? Like, so I see. Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah, originally we thought that the split screen with the video on one side and then the poet reading on the other was going to work, but I guess it doesn't really do well for recording. So that's why that kind of sort of changed.
Mm-hmm.
But this is beautiful. Yeah, Jennifer, this is wonderful.
Yes. And I'll imagine the garden today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always loved it when we used to meet at the garden. The haiku group is always in the cultivar garden, and it has that really nice little gazebo. And it's really a lovely garden.
Yeah, I always enjoy that too, Debbie. That was one of my favorite times of the year.
And Patrick is agreeing, even though he's never been there because dogs aren't allowed.
Maybe we could smuggle him in.
Yeah, I doubt it. He'd probably see a squirrel or something, and then, he'd give away the game.
Yeah, that's true. The thing about the cultivar garden was that it was so beautiful and expansive that the botanical gardens that several times I got lost trying to find it. It's a lovely place to be.
Yeah, it's been a few months since I've been there. I was there a few months ago. And a few months ago, I'm talking about fall. So it's half a year ago, I guess.
So Jennifer said this is a beautiful time to go to the Botanic Garden because of the rain that we had. Everything is in bloom and it's really colorful, and so this would be a really good time to go.
Well, maybe the Southern
get my
California
husband to
Haiku Study
go.
Group should have a small outdoor excursion there.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I have not been there.
Yeah, April is also when we celebrate Wildflower Month. So just to give you an idea, there's wildflowers.
I love wildflowers. Wow.
Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer, are you still there?
Hi, Marcy. Yes, I am.
Hi. This is a pretty picture. Is this the container? No, the cultivar garden?
This is actually the oval, the wildflower oval that's near the admin building.
Oh, the Johnson?
The Johnson's oval. Mhm.
Oh, okay. That's where I had our group from LA.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it's a beautiful
So
spot.
I was going to ask you if we could have the same time next year, the first Saturday of.
The first Saturday, I'll put it on my calendar.
Thank you. So let's hope it's going to be, what's the opposite of virtual?
And virtual, in person.
In person by that time. So we used the Johnson's Oval and we used the cultivar garden and then the container garden. And that was the Pasadena Poets. And,
Mhm.
then we used the Lens Arbor. And at one year we had, that was what, 4 groups. One year we had 5 groups and they met over at the Oak, the Majestic Oak Overview.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have to do some planning in the next 12 months.
Yeah. It's starting to look hopeful for in person. We're still singing through our masks, but at church, and we have to be in a mask inside church, but when we're in small groups, the church said that we could be maskless. So
It's nice to have some flexibility.
Jennifer, did you say that there is a little shop at the Botanic Gardens where you can purchase little sprigs or little seedlings of any of the flowers or anything like that?
Yeah, we actually have a nursery that's here on site. It's only open on Fridays and Saturdays, and it'll
Okay.
be closing for the summer. I want to say at the end of May. So it does close for the summer season, but
Okay.
right now it's open Fridays and Saturdays.
Well, I remember when I first came to California in 1998, I lived in San Diego and I went to a bonsai festival and I
Ooh.
purchased a tiny little bulb in a paper cup, and it was a silver squill.
Mhm.
And since then, I've given bulbs to all of my friends. I have
Aw.
huge bushes out on our deck with
Mhm.
it's very prolific. It grows all over the place. And it does very well in Southern California in sun or shade. And if anybody wants a bulb, I'd be happy to send you one.
Yeah, bulbs are amazing. We occasionally have bulbs in our nursery also. They're very seasonal, but
Uh-huh. Well, these this one will last on your patio if you're in Southern California.
it's very happy.
This one will last on your patio forever, and it will just proliferate.
Vicki, what kind of plant is it?
It's a silver squill.
Is it a?
It's kind of drought resistant.
Is it a cactus or a succulent?
No, it is a succulent, but it's a very delicate succulent. You know what? Maybe I'll go out and get one. Hang on a second.
Okay.
That's the best way.
Yeah, I think I'd like to get one of those. I have a mother onion and a traveling onion, and they just keep going. In fact, I pulled the mother onion all out because it was someplace that didn't work, and the infinitesimal babies are coming back.
Some plants are very, very hardy. It's true. The traveling onion, is that like a walking onion where it's
like a walking onion? Yeah.
Cool. I think those are really neat.
I saw
Onion walk.
I saw it in Colorado, and I asked the lady if I could have one of the bulbs, and she gave me one bulb. And it's in a pot, but it's just going crazy.
Yeah, they're kind of neat plants. They sort of grow. I haven't seen one in person, but my understanding is they kind of grow at this stalk up, and then eventually it sort of tips over, and then a new plant sort of plants itself right here.
Yeah.
Then, so they slowly over time spread out.
The babies are on the flower, and when the flower goes, then the babies are little tiny bulbs, and then the weight of the head drops it, and then keep going.
So it's a very slow walk, but
Well, yeah.
do you have your plant, Vicky?
Here's my silver squill.
Oh,
Oh,
So this
yeah,
is,
that's a beauty.
wow.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. It
And
kind of,
does it produce flowers, or is it a
Yes.
greenery mostly?
It produces tiny little flowers. I pick some of them off. I have bigger pots out there. I mean, huge pots. But when they seed, they go all over the place. And my husband has kind of allergies, so I have to kind of pluck them off once in a while.
Mhm.
But yeah, they do. The flowers are very tiny and very pale, lilac color or white. And
Vicky, it reminds me of Stratoscantha.
Stratoscantha.
Yeah.
Ah,
We used to call it, it's no longer politically correct, but we used to call it Wandering Jew. It had,
oh yeah,
it had a purple stripe on either side of the flower.
yes.
Leaf.
Oh yes, I have those. Yeah, they do very well too. They just trail all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very easy to propagate. You can give a little clipping to your friends and they root right away.
Yeah. Well, if you're ever out in Claremont, at the eastern edge of the Los Angeles County, we're right on the line. I'll take one of your bulbs.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be happy to send you one.
Okay. So it's looking like maybe time to start up again. You think, what time is it?
Yeah, it looks like it's just 11:20. So
Okay,
start assembling everyone.
let's see if we have, how many people we have here.
I'm gonna go ahead and close our video.
We have 20. Looks like we have 20 participants. I'm going to put it in gallery. We have Kathy, Ralph, Iggy. That's 3 of my poets. So, how do you feel? Teresa's supposed to be first. Teresa May Chook, is she here? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Oh, hi,
Marcy.
Teresa. Would you like to start reading? I can introduce you.
Sure. Whatever works is fine.
Hi, there you are.
Hi.
Am I saying your name right, Teresa, or is it Teresa?
Teresa.
Teresa
Yeah,
May.
you're saying it right. Mhm.
Okay. Our section is poets from all over. We have LA poets. Teresa, where do you live?
Right now, I live in Doherty.
Where
I
do you
just
say you're
moved.
Yeah, you're
I
really
just moved.
close.
Yeah, I was in Pasadena all my life. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, you're not that far. And Kathy
No.
lives right down the street from me. Hi, Kath. And Ralph lives about a couple miles from me in what? Laverne, Ralph? There you are. Okay. And but my friend Hartman, he's my editor. He lives in Massachusetts. And Hartman, I don't have your, what'd I do with your bio? He's not here yet. Okay. When he comes on, I'll have to ask him to introduce himself. He published my book, Shinrin Yoku, which is his first book and my first book. And he agreed to be on. He won't be. He's got a tight schedule, so I'm thinking he will be on about 12:40. He said. And Chris is going to be on around Davidson is here, right? Is that Carolyn? Carolyn, is that your wife, Chris?
This is Chris's wife listening in. I don't think he's logged on yet. He's on the train somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say he's on a train from 10 to 1. So
Okay.
How fun is that?
I know, huh? Be reading from the train.
He'll be reading from the train, and then John Williamson needs to read at 12:30. So if I go over 12:30, oh, it's only 11:23. So I think I can manage. And then Chris Cook's son. I call him. The son is a Mister in Japanese. So you say like Richard's son or Ignatius' son or Ignatius Faye son or Mount Fuji son. So you can, but it's like an honorific. When I was in Africa, they called me Mama, which is like it's an honorific name. It's more than just mother. It's beyond madam, I think, but it's sort of an honorific name. So Teresa's here. So let me read your bio, Teresa. She was born in Saigon, Vietnam, and immigrated to the United States as a boat refugee with her mother and brother shortly after the Vietnam War. Teresa is the author of 3 collections of poetry, Red Thread, 2012 and republished in 2021, Keeper of the Winds, 2014, and Invisible Life, 2018. She teaches literature and writing at a public high school in Los Angeles. Teresa, I'm so glad to meet you again. We've met in person, 3 years ago, and now here we are online. But next year, maybe, cross your fingers, we'll be back in the beautiful garden together.
Yeah, that would be beautiful. I miss that. I think this is my 4th year doing our Garden of Verses, and I always enjoy this so much because I get to read my nature poems. And I want to start with a poem dedicated to Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk that recently passed, and also dedicated to my late grandmother. So we're talking about, I heard you all talking about propagating plants, and I'm very grateful that I was able to do a cutting of this orange tree that my late grandmother had planted, and it's growing now in my new home. Tasting the rain. Thich Nhat Hanh says that when I eat an orange, I could taste the clouds, the rain, the sunshine, my late grandmother's love when she planted this tree nearly half a century ago. Feel the fluttering wings of bees covered in pollen and hummingbirds drunk from the nectar of orange blossoms. So this morning I woke up, and in my new home I have a rose garden, and I cut some roses from my grandmother's altar. And this poem is called Rose. It's about my mother and roses. Rose. When I was little, my mom used to tell me not to smell roses because the small bugs would get into my nose. I avoided sniffing roses into adulthood. One day, I saw a beautiful bush of red and white roses. I leaned closer than my mom would have liked. It happened quickly, without a thought, a waft like honey. I smelled again. Then I was curious about the purple ones, the orange ones, and the deep red ones. Hugging my grandma. This is how it feels to hold a peach tree not the trunk of the tree, but the branches. The bees circle to get pollen and nectar. So in my arms are bees and butterflies and the fragrance and the assurance of fruits. The branches full of leaves and blossoms, and me just holding them in my open arms. Grandma, a hologram. In your physical absence, the hologram of me still contains you like a cut leaf. You are part of the light scattered from me, so that even a tiny fragment, an eyelash, still contains the whole of you. Intimacy. The sky is the color of hydrangea, blanched clouds and shades of purple blue, a touch of pink flushed petals here and there, hydrangea in morning sun and afternoon shade, where thoughts like winged insects alight on a cluster of 43 blossoms, blossoms that color according to the aluminum or lack of the metal in the soil. Rainforest. I close my eyes so that I can see it, what we so freely eliminate. Who is not guilty of it? We reek of paper. Everywhere we go is paper. Our hands are stained with paper. Walls, what echoes from our walls? The sweet whisper of rainforest. Even the name makes the sound of rushing water, or perhaps it's a ghost that haunts us. They say the dead that did not die a peaceful death are doomed forever to wander the earth. But perhaps this earth is for them already. A cemetery, stacks and stacks of flesh on a desk. Which one belongs to which tree? Already we've traded oxygen for so much. I have some haiku senrus. Bobcat with mange. Unwatered plants also dying. Mountain lion, her land before ours. Invasive plants. Scent of orange blossoms. Memories of my late grandma who planted this tree. I have one last poem to read. This poem is dedicated to my children. Photosynthesis. How can I convince you that you do have chlorophyll, that you can take the sun's energy and turn it into sugar, produce something sweet inside of you, take the waste people breathe out and make it into something that will keep you alive, that will keep those around you alive, create oxygen. Why do you say that this metaphor doesn't work? That you don't have the powers of a plant? That nature didn't intend you that way? Look how you twist and turn towards the light. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. Teresa, I'm sorry. So Debbie tells me you published her book, The Highway of Sleeping Towns.
Grateful for Debbie's work. Very inspiring, and you can still order it.
That's amazing.
I love Debbie's work.
Yeah.
Teresa did a beautiful job with this book. It was just a really marvelous experience. I know she's right now, I think, on hiatus from publishing new books, but I really am proud of the book that she put together.
Thank you,
me.
Debbie. It was an honor to publish your work. You inspire me always with your poetry.
Thank you. I love your work too. I think we're a mutual admiration society.
She, Teresa calls her press the Shabda Press. Can you talk a little bit about that name, Teresa?
Yes, Shabda means sound in Sanskrit, the original sound and sound that permeates everything. So when we do poetry, the sound of our words, it's a vibration that goes beyond just the people hearing it. I think it connects with all life around. And I founded Shabda Press in 2011. And I've had the honor to publish such wonderful, amazing poets like Deborah, Ecology, Mariko Kitakubo, and Anthology with work by Catabella Wilson.
Wow.
And other local poets.
Yeah. If you go to the chat, you can see how to access her website.
Yeah, I put it in for my own book, but obviously that's at her website. So if you go up a bit, you can see all the books, just Shabda Press.
Right.
Oh, I put it actually just to you, not to everyone.
Yeah. Why don't you copy it to everyone so they can all?
Sorry.
That's great. And Susan's Rogers
And,
also thank Teresa.
Thank you, Susan.
Lovely reading.
I like the rose. I like turning to the light. I liked your poems, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Marcy. It's an
Maybe
honor to be here.
Next year we'll be in person again. And
Yeah, that was fun. That would be wonderful.
yeah. Our next poet is Kathy Henley Erickson. Kathy just produced a phenomenal record of 2 haiku in 1 month in the Claremont Courier. I'm saving him for you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Kathy Henley Erickson holds a Bachelor of Arts in English from Mills College and an MFA in poetry from UC Irvine. For many years, she was the Claremont Courier's resident movie critic and concurrently taught writing at the University of Laverne, where she is now a professor of English emerita. She is the first poet laureate for the city of Laverne, and she says probably the only. Did they have a successor for you yet?
Not yet.
That's amazing. Kathy, let's hear some of your sterling poetry.
Okay, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Marcy, for arranging for all of this. My voice doesn't always sound like this. This is the result of springtime allergies, and I feel fine, but boy, I sure sound terrible. And so most all of the poems that I'm going to read are my own, but I want to start with what I almost always start with when we have these kinds of readings. And that's this lovely book compiled and written by John Updike. And I don't think of him usually as a poet, but my goodness, he's done some interesting work. And this is a child's calendar. So these are poems ostensibly for children in that, and they do have children's drawings of children and small animals and so forth, but they speak to me. So I will read you April. April, it's spring. Farewell to chills and colds. The blushing girlish world unfolds each flower, leaf, and blade of turf, small love notes sent from air to earth. The skies a herd of prancing sheep, the birds and fields abandoned sleep, and jonquils, tulips, daffodils bloom bright upon the wide-eyed hills. All things renew, all things begin. At church, they bring the lilies in. And always there is some kind of cheerful, interesting, appropriate drawing by Trina Shart Hyman. And I love this book. I've had it for a long time and read it appropriately at the beginning of every month. Second, I want to recommend to everyone a book that's new to me. This is a nature poem for every night of the year. And I picked it up on, I believe it was Amazon. It's not cheap. But I just thought that in addition to whatever other kind of muses we all enjoy and look for, the written word itself, I think, can be a muse. And so I have begun the habit of reading to myself every night the poem that is for these for each of these evenings, and they're all nature poems. So I'm going to read to you the poem that I read to myself last night. And the one that the editors chose is by Robert Browning. And many of the poems in here are really unfamiliar to me. But this one I did recognize. Home Thoughts from Abroad. Oh, to be in England now that April's there. And whoever wakes in England sees some morning unaware that the lowest boughs and brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bower are in tiny leaf, while the chaffinch sings in the orchard bough in England now. And after April, when May follows and the whitethroat builds and all the swallows, hark, where my blossomed pear tree in the hedge leans to the field and scatters on the clover blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge. That's the wise thrush. He sings each song twice over, lest you should think he never could recapture the first fine careless rapture. And though the fields look rough with hoary dew, all will be gay when noontide wakes anew. The buttercups, the little child's dower, far brighter than this gaudy melon flower. So very old fashioned and very, I think, inviting. And so I recommend this book to anyone who's interested. And then of my own poems. Marcin mentioned the, I've had 2 haiku. I've had 3 actually, published in the Claremont Courier. And 2 of them are same subject matter. And I will read one of them now and one of them at the end of my section here. Come out of the woods. Together we'll find poppies. Spring's not far away. And here's one by E.E. Cummings, In just spring, when the world is mud luscious, the little lame balloon man whistles far and wee, and Eddie and Bill come running from marbles and piracies, and it's spring when the world is puddle wonderful. The queer old balloon man whistles far and wee, and Betty and Isabel come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope and It's spring and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and wee.
That's one of my favorites of his. Thanks, Kathy.
And here's one of mine, March. At the start of spring, doves seek quiet spaces, strings and bits of grass, a safe sheltered ledge, waiting for their young. I stand unmoving at my window. We're all inside this March, save the dove's sweet sound. Name each flower. Name each flower, the Dr. Seuss one, osteospermum, purple with spooned petals, round edges on its arms like tiny gumdrops or nude Dippin' Dots, plum or Concord grape. They survive a period of drought in sleep mode, but may abort their flower buds, coming back into flower with great difficulty. They tolerate poor soil, but do not set seed easily. Yet, in a warm and sunny position, they may have a second flush of flowers. This one is woman walking. Woman walking, head up, shoulders straight, toward me. Elsewhere, they say the past is ahead of you because you can't see it. The future is behind because you can't. But here, on our trails, we walk steadily, stopping for wildflowers, deer tracks, a drink, bikers, other hikers, to watch the fog shift in and out of the trees, to marvel at the regrowth of burned timber, of Canterbury bells growing out of the red rock with nothing but enough roots to hold, even after drought, even after floods, even after fire. We walk, the past behind us, a soft breeze reminding us we were not the first generation of strong, vulnerable women, nor will we be the last. And then I'd like to end with another haiku. Come, let's gather spring. We'll find puppies. I'll start again. Come, let's gather spring. We'll find poppies together. Breathe calmly again. Thank you
so much, Kathy. I love your personification of spring and summer. Kathy's written quite a few poems as if the season were a girl. And you don't happen to have any of those?
Not right in front of me, but thank you. I'll remember those for next time.
Next year when we go in person.
Next year live. Yep. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kathy. Parkman, I just want to ask you if you could send me your bio real quick, and I'll introduce you after Ralph. Okay, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm unmuting. Did I send you the bio before, or
you might have, but I can't find it.
Can't find it. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Ralph is up next, and then I'll call on Parkman because his schedule is really tight today. So Ralph, I've known him from St. Ambrose Church for a long time, and before I knew that he was a poet, and then one day he just handed me his book, and oh my gosh. Ralph Carson retired from Azusa Pacific University, Azusa, California in 2014. His poems have appeared in the Texas Review, Poet Lore, the Cape Rock, Genre, the Hawaii Review, Sunstone, War, Literature and the Arts, Colliery, Slake, Whale Road Review, et al. Carlson's poetry book, Waiting to Say Amen, is available in print or electronic formats from lulu.com, barnesandnoble.com, and amazon.com. Ralph, you're on.
Okay, how is the sound?
It sounds very full.
Okay. I have one poem that derives from my walks in the garden recently, since it reopened. The nature of things. Though calendars have shed many days since the storms that shocked our sense of Decembers, the trails are now open past the flocks of prickly pear raising their spiny paddles to the sun, and past the fawn palm, the ironwoods, the bush poppies, the penstemon clumps, the woolly blue curls, the fragrant pitcher sage, tempting browsing bees, and past the conifer corner in the northeast, where drought years have purged the big cone pine, but have not yet subdued the tall junipers, where the northern trail wavers west past sugarbush and desert sunflower clusters, doing their heliotropic duties, following light where light travels, till California poppies close their business day. And the northern trail leading west links with mid-garden options south, and the southward bends of asphalt join with cross trails of gravel, sand, and clay, winding among barberry, oaks, and redshanks, manzanita, yucca, agave, and Joshua trees. Low along trail side, columbine and coral bells raise their delicate pastels. Sycamores leaf full green, drawing what earth drank from the recent rains, enough that no leaf yet shows wilt or scald. The spare whips of western redbud unfurl their pinks ahead of their leaf buds. The umbrella forms of buckeye, branch and twig still dormant gray, evoke hopes of their cycle through green buds, white blossoms, green leaves to brown nuts. The palo verde raises a full aura of yellow blossoms, their small petals a-tremble with both breeze and bees. Desert willows begin their budding, foretelling the pinks, purples, and whites yet to come as springtime matures. Patches of mulch testify to sites where great trunks had fallen, were cut to lengths manageable for trucking off to other modes of life, rooted not in the earth, but in the customs of commerce. And where there were wind-broken trunks and branches taken away, sun stares on openness, on new plantings, on new saplings, small beginnings sprouted among the many risks of existence. Survivors of water, wind, fire, tooth, and rot may grow to greatness that towers like a church spire, or to the greatness of a tiny button of petals hidden in shade. Cycles pulse green, cycles wither dry. Tree squirrels ferry acorns through fallen oak leaves to bury for some tomorrow. White-shouldered ground squirrels dash from bush to burrow, but turn to scan for risks before going underground. The hawk aloft may dive after prey that flees through the oak grove, or it may ride thermals, circling higher and higher beyond a human sight. Sun that rose from the east horizon settles slowly west. The flicker that wore sunset on its breast yesterday is nowhere to be seen today. Such is the nature of things. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ralph, very much. I love the virtual walk through the gardens. I haven't been back yet, but as soon as this spiral fracture heals, I'll be there. So my friend Parkman lives in Carlisle, Massachusetts, sorry. Right? You're still muted. Oh,
Bam.
now you're
Yes,
on.
you are. Yes, is that good?
Yes, Carlisle, Massachusetts, right?
Massachusetts. Correct.
Okay. And we've known each other since what, the early 90s?
1994, I think. Yeah.
When he
This
published.
is. I don't know if you've given readers a chance to see, or viewers, your book, which has just been we published last winter, I think. So here's what it looks like. It's called Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing, if you will. And it's all the published poems you've published in Appalachia so far. So
Right.
I urge readers to go out and get it from Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Since 1993 or 4, when he published my first poem. And I would like to say that it took us, in those days we were doing snail mail, and it took us 9 months before he accepted my first poem called April.
Correct. 1994. Mm-hmm.
That was my baby, my first baby.
Exactly.
And then a while back, I suggested to Parkman that he publish an anthology of all the poets that he accepted for Appalachia. And it turned out that he just decided to do mine. And it was a wonderful experience. It was so much fun. And I'm so proud of that book. And since it took 30 years to complete, I doubt there will be another one. So if you want to go to Amazon.com, thanks to Iggy for getting it on there, you can buy my book that Parkman helped. And he had a wonderful copyist who arranged it and made it really beautiful. So because Parkman needs to sandwich in a lot of activities before he signs out, let me just introduce you, and then you can read some of the poems in the Appalachia magazine. Okay. Parkman Howell is a beekeeper, a gardener, and poetry editor of Appalachia, America's longest running journal of fountaining and
mountaineering.
What is that? Oh,
mountaineering. Should be
mountaineering. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And conservation since 1876, long running journal. And I read it cover to cover every time I get one. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. The first poet I'd like to read is Robin Chapman, who lives in Wisconsin. And she's the author of many books of poetry, including The Only Home We Know, which was published by Tebet Bach in 2019. She's a recipient of Appalachia's 2010 Poetry Prize, and her poems have appeared in numerous journals. This one is called Isabella Lake, and here it is. Loons, rapids, beaver lodge, kestrels and light, rose and golden climbing, the feathers of clouds, rose and purple entering the water reads, every shade of green in the blueberry leaves, and the sting of mosquitoes as wind dies down with the sun, as the loon's clamor announces night coming on. This next poet is someone you may have heard of before, Mary Oliver. We had the great privilege of publishing a number of her poems in the later part of her career. And as you know, Mary's poetry focused on the quiet occurrences of nature, industrious hummingbirds, egrets, motionless ponds, quote, lean owls hunkering with their lamp eyes. And this poem is called Hawk as Dusk is Coming On. In all the field, there is no place to rest, not a single tree, not a stump. And the dapper hawk on its arrowy wings, skimming and skimming back and forth, was clearly hunting, and hunger is nothing to fool around with, especially if you are a wild thing in a wide field and it is coming to dusk. And so, because I honor this world, though I do not even pretend to understand it, and although I honor also the mice that halt and run nervously in the grasses, I called, come, hawk, and make use of me. Sit on my lifted wrist and scan the world, and leave when you will, and do what you must. And this next poet is Todd Davis, who lives in Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is in the center of the state. And he could not be here for this reading because he was just leaving earlier this morning to go out fishing. But he's a great fisherman, and he's published 7 collections of poetry, and all of them, I believe, from the Michigan State University Press. And he's won numerous prizes, including the Gwendolyn Brooks Poetry Prize and the Chautauqua Editors Prize. He teaches environmental studies at Pennsylvania State University at the Altoona College. And this is called Thorough Listens for Warblers. If you live in Concord, you belong to the Thorough Society, you may pronounce the name Thorough because that's the way the family pronounced it. And the Concord takes great pride in pronouncing it the way the family did. Everybody else pronounces it Thorough, but don't worry. So this is Thorough Listens for the Warblers. They move through the trees like wind or light, and like light and wind, they will not stay. But tomorrow, the songs of these birds will be absent, and the light will not be yesterday's, but today's. The leaves will not make a sound, and he will wonder if wind ever shook this place, if the bright bodies sang or foraged or filled the canopy in numbers so dense you might believe heaven was something to see, to feel, flying fast near your face. And then finally, a poem by John Smeltzer, who grew up in Alaska. He's in Missouri at the moment, but this is a poem about his a cabin that he and his father made by hauling construction materials up the Good Pastor River, which is a clear water tributary of the Tanana River, which is southeast of Fairbanks, to build the author's first cabin. So this is called Along the Good Pastor River, near Big Delta, Alaska. All summer, my father and I raced up and down the river, hauling building materials for my cabin. First up the glacial Tanana, then left on the Goody. Imparting another life lesson, my father made me saw every cut by hand. Make you appreciate it more, he said. One trip, coming around the river bend, a moose calf swept in the rapids, tumbles head over hooves, her dumbstruck mother waiting on the other side. My father brings our flat-bottom boat in close. I put my arm around her neck, hold her head above water, our faces pressed together. My father steers to shore where I jump out and heave her up the steep bank. Without thanks, she runs to her mother. They vanish in a tangle of willow. So thank you very much, Marcy. Thank you so much. This is a pleasure and a delight to be here.
Thank you, Parkman, so much. I'm so appreciative
Okay.
of all your work.
Not at all.
If we have
Take care.
time, I'll read that first poem, but I know you have to go. So,
Okay. Very good. We will talk soon.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So our next poet is on a train. Chris Davidson, I see that he's come back. At least he was here a minute. Oh, there he is. And his wife held down the fort before he came in. But he's on a train, and he's in mid-flight. And you didn't tell me, Chris, where you started and where you're going. You're muted.
I am with some friends who are going to San Diego. We are celebrating somebody who is newly cancer-free. So we're kind of having just a day down in San Diego. So.
Oh, super, super. So this is a good window for you?
If you would like me to start now, I told people I'd be starting sometime in 10 minutes or so, but I can start now if you want.
If that's okay with you, let me introduce you. Chris Davidson lives in Long Beach. So you're taking the flyer, right?
The Surfliner, yep.
Surf flyer. Oh, my daughter's taking that. It's a beautiful train all along the coastline.
Yeah.
Chris Davidson lives in Long Beach. His poetry can be found online at Green Mountains Review, Zocalo Public Square, Ecstasis, and elsewhere. His chapbook, Easy Meal, was published in 2020 by Californios Press. Chris, you're on.
Cool. I'm going to share my screen so you can see some of these poems, just so you can have them as a visual, because I have 7 minutes. Is that right, Marcy?
Oh, you know, it's flexible. We're running a schedule, so if you want to go a little longer, it's all right.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So, because you read a poem once and people don't really know it, but so I'll start here. And this poem is right there in the title. I don't think it needs any introduction, but it's called Surfing Catalina Island. Surfing Catalina Island, with scrub on the hills behind me, hammerheads rumored around me, San Nicolas a day's kayak away, if the book's to be believed. I dodged no bison on the drive to the lineup in my friend's car. He waited 9 years to get it. He lives alone. Most land on the island's a preserve, the state fish, the Garibaldi. On the island's leeward side, a show to tourists carrying bread. They pass through liquid to reach a goal, as I do when I paddle, as a baby does pre-first swaddle, or a surfacing whale. Its wet-eyed gaze, when up close by a castaway, is taken for kinship. The book in reference there is Island of the Blue Dolphins, which I read to my kids when they were little. So supposedly you can paddle in a canoe from Catalina to San Nicolas Island in a day if you are equipped to do so. And I don't know if the wait list for getting a car in Catalina, I heard is 9 years. It may be 11 years now. So we'll see. I don't know. You can fact check that poem. There might be some problems there. I'm going to skip to this poem, which is a poem about a lake in the Eastern Sierra, or set of the lake in the Eastern Sierra, a hike on the lake to the Eastern Sierra, a hike I took with my son. And so my son, you wouldn't know this if I didn't tell you this, but my son shows up in this poem. Hike to add new lake. Railroad tracks on a 60-degree incline cross twice the switchbacking trail near the threshold. The falls where Rush Creek begins have been thin strip of water. Today they are massive, moving tumbler. The lake is dammed, a 1915 power plant. You are a mountain goat, thin and quick up a mountain. We talk when we need to. We look up the path leading to lakes unseen but named on occasional signs. They are plotted in my mind. Like other alpine lakes I've seen, bowls of ice water each rising to a lip leading down the deep valley.
Uh-oh, Chris, the train knocked you out. You're frozen. You are well, I am the tumbling melt. I love that last line. Chris, can you hear us? The train knocked out your Wi-Fi. Doggone it.
I texted him to tell him that we lost him. I'll let you know if I get a reply.
Okay.
Okay.
While we're waiting, I'll read one of my poems from Haiku Canada Review. I can't get it in focus. Where is it? No, there it is. Okay, this is really long poem, so get ready. Father's Day card from the cat. That's it. Father's Day card from the cat. I hope we can get Chris back, but I see that John is here. John, are you in your window? But you're muted.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. If Chris comes back, would you like to start? And then if Chris comes back.
Whenever you'd like me to go, I can go.
Okay, so let me read John's bio. Williamson. John R. Williamson teaches English at the Gooden School, a private K-8 Episcopal school in Sierra Madre, California. I might mention that John Gooden was our bishop for about 10 years or 20 years. He was, when I was growing up, he was the one that came out and gave me my confirmation in San Marino, in Sierra Madre. So excuse me for interrupting. The Episcopal School in Sierra Madre, California. That's where I went to church when I was a kid. He published a poetry and art journal called Grapevine and won the Cornerstone Poetry Slam in Chicago. He continues to write and perform with his band, the C'est La Bise. John, would you like to start? And apologies if we get interrupted.
Sure. Dark matter. Tell me from the inside what is happening in your life. I've been trying and moving over the line. I tried riding the waves, tried to look the other way, dove into the sunset, caught on fire and got wet. Some dethroned. Sometimes I wonder where I'm going. I'm confident in the crash. Do you rent or do you drive? Do you live inside a hive? Fortune favors a few. How many footsteps in a path?
I feel the pulling of a draft, dark matter on display. Next one is about the sun. Phoebus, our everyday encounter. Your warmth embraces us in gold. Now you're lifting up the water. See how you multiply the yield. You are the furnisher of fields. We are surviving on your benefits. Glad for the lives your light reveals. Clouds in your path. You enter, you see what's in front of you, and then you see a bit of the familiar. Business park, mountain base, you're driving, you're defensive. It's better this way. At the moment you wait your turn. After the clouds, you see graves. No, not this time. The construction sites, the radio, your voice. You know your salary has changed but twice in 10 years. Among the towering pines, just 7 minutes from work. We haven't been inside a church for a long time. We spend more time listening to the crickets, watching the squirrels. It's pecan gathering time up the tree, plucked and brought to. This week, one squirrel brought a cluster of 5. One grasped in a small mouth that held the provisions, descended the trunk. I realized I wasn't alone. 2 strangers were there on the other side. Our eyes met, we smiled. It was a lunch break worth taking. This one is, I'm trying to get one as long as Marcy's. Same spider, same place. Are you getting used to me? You ever notice you see a spider in the same place and it's much bigger than it was a few days ago? That was kind of the feeling. I didn't write it in there, but. So March just passed us by, and it's a time where we sometimes think about swallows. Do any of you have swallows nesting in your houses? Swallows flying overhead, soon they will be gone, now bowing closer to the ground. Summer is easy to remember when autumn comes. Are your compositions calling? Did you find the sun? Are you lying on your shadow? Does your day feel young? This one's called Illumined. We are all feeding on the sun and the movement has begun. Read what is illumined. You have ruddered through the flood. I know that you have had enough since the beginning. We have branches in our chests. We alight and we depress what will continue. Fragrant flowers that have bloomed around the curve. Another view, great affectations. And on one night, when you saw Mars, you sought some solace from the war since the beginning. Find asters basking in the yard, spread seeds, and hope for more. We have been gifted. I know I have limited time, so I'm going to skip a few. The form of a cloud. You are staying true to form. You're staying true to form. You're staying true to form. Long lashes, to be sure. Lashes, to be sure. Staying true to form. Who knows what they've read? It's a long, litigious task. When you take off your mask, you don't bury the lead. You have your conceits. With a 10-gallon hat, you are tall. You can caw. You can claw. And your strengths are the captivating kinds. And your spirit is seen through signs. You don't judge, you keep it calm. A dream is still a dream. Sometimes you will grasp, sometimes you will gasp. Pollen in the form of a cloud. You watch it come down, you wonder just what's in the breeze. Knowledge is a limited thing, but faith can make you sing. This one's called Play in the Sand. I hope you'll follow my directive. This is in the spirit of John Donne, who has so many imperative words in his poems. Play in the sand. I should not say to you what I won't say to myself. The oceans won't empty. The dog will still chase itself. We follow many forms, but we recognize just a few. Where the water was, there's a cat right up on the roof. You have a heavy heart. We'll crack the spine. We'll feed our heads. We'll stop and play in the sand. It hurt to carry the gear, so Gold Mountain is another place, and a zephyr never pretends. Where the sky held the glitter that hit, you washed it and dressed it and brought the balm. You trotted in spite of it. Chrysanthemums at your door, their fragrance is sweet in sun's retreat. You've found what you had looked for, but I can give you a hand. We'll crack the spine. We'll feed our heads. We'll stop and play in the sand. This is the final poem of the day in honor of our gardener's best friends, ladybugs. Ladybug trio, can we be brief or can we be where we are? You're turning to me. Now I can sense your countenance at last. As we shift the weight, we do not lack. Here's to the mammoth curves. What we see through the windows is more than we all deserve. A ladybug trio plump on a spiny vine. They're making a promise. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, John, so much. And I hope this doesn't impact your day too much.
It enhances my day. So thank you for having me.
All right. See you next year, maybe in person in the garden.
I hope so.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcy.
Chris, we're glad you got back online. I guess the train knocked you out.
It did knock me out. There was the Wi-Fi went down, so I'm using my phone now as a hotspot. So hopefully there will be no disruptions. There may be some announcements over the thing. So
that's okay. So will you start that poem again?
Folks now,
yes, I can shut. You're going to hear that announcement. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, let me do that real quick. I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
The poem about walking with my son on the.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, Chris, that I've been there to Agnew Lake, and it's just a wonderful view.
It is really wonderful. And the last time we went there, we saw an osprey get a trout out of the swoop down and get a trout. That was a treat too. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see if there's any announcements. There might be. Hike to Agnew Lake. Railroad tracks on a 60-degree incline cross twice the switchbacking trail near the threshold. The falls where Rush Creek begins have been thin strip of water. Today they are a massive moving tumbler. The lake is dammed, a 1915 power plant. You are a mountain goat, thin and quick up a mountain. We talk when we need to. We look up the path leading to lakes unseen but named on occasional signs. They are plotted in my mind, like other alpine lakes I've seen, bowls of ice water, each rising to a lip leading down the deep valley they themselves helped make, then on to hidden springs. My knees ache with age. You are a well, I am the tumbling melt. All right. I will do a few more because I know I read a couple and then it got kind of caught up. I've got two poems about the composter beehive. Some bees took up residence in our composter. I'm just going to read them just because two poets. Hang on a second.
We'll be closing.
Okay. Two poets ago, there was a beekeeper, I think, one of our fellow poets. So I feel like I'll read these in honor of that.
It's Parkman Howe. He's my editor of
I love it. Great. So I'll read these two, and then I'll read one about maybe the green sea turtles in the San Gabriel River, and then that'll be it. So here's one of the Composter Beehive poems. Composter Beehive. So much trouble in every region, yet a swarm of bees has taken up a place in our composter. Home for now outside our home, a second home, one of so many made of spit and wattle, wax and wax glue, unlike our law-contracted space. A fine space, sure, and foolish hope, maybe perhaps yet too a hub for brightening flowers falling within the penumbra of buzzy initiative worked out in teams.
Gentlemen, about 30 minutes. We'll be on next station stop, Old Town. Old Town is next.
Old Town is next. Okay. This is another one about those composter bees. Bees as a kind of light. The bees hang together from the roof of the composter in the shape of a light bulb, a squirming, stricken bulb emitting sound, not light, emitting acts of fecund grace, which is the only kind of grace, each meeting with it an infusion of space enabling growth, even when those who receive it don't know it. The flower of my heart, for example, is now opened, unplanned, unasked for, nothing I thought to expect. I have friends to my right who are all cheering me on, which is really lovely and giving me encouragement. And this is the Pacific green sea turtles in the lower San Gabriel River, which are there for now and hopefully will continue. But the power plant, which is the environmental impact there. Air cooling instead of water cooling, in which case the sea turtles may not have a home anymore. So we'll see. Pacific green sea turtles in the lower San Gabriel River. When sin's made good, if made good it is, I've seen it while riding my bike on asphalt cracked and narrow by the marred river. Creatures neither made nor meant to be where they now thrive in water warmed by the plant, providing power for us who remain the only consideration when altering things. By things, I mean all things that can be changed by human action for preserving the price of land, preferably to raise it. What lives will be destroyed, ignored, if not in any way in the way of perceived satisfaction. Trout, long gone. Catcher and Stanisfero, gone. Tongva. News like this is old, repeatable, and sad. But look, ahead, like a doorknob surfaces from the trash-laden flow, body diameter of a tire. Similes show how perception shaped, alive, aswim, and silent there, where I will see it or its kin again next time I ride. I once would call such a thing hope, that life like this. I don't anymore. It was hope that made a trench from a ribbon. Plant is changed how it cools, water killing what's outside tension, what misses the mark, what's on before the. That's kind of a poem, so maybe can I read one more that's like less a downer and then be done? Marcy, do I have time? Is there time, Marcy, for one more? Okay, this will be the last one. These dates are, I've been writing poems a lot lately, so I've been tested public, so I hope we're working okay. These dates are all very recent. This is called Tools, and this involves a walk with my son. Tools. The Bolsca, if you've never been there, the Bolsca Estuary is a lovely place to walk. On this particular day, we also saw dozens of jellyfish in the water and a black swan, which shouldn't have been there, but it was still kind of cool to see. Tools. The gull flew before us, in its mouth a stone. I stopped you talking on the path. Watch, I said, and we followed its flight across the highway to above the beach lot, where it dropped when it held a dark, small shape tracing an arc downward. Pursued. That stone's a snail. That lot its tool. My esteem for gulls aloft like wings moved by a will, resourceful, simple, in process discovered by other minds, joined to similar equipment, a team, a species, kin. We watched a second gull do it, talking briefly about the act. Then you resumed your discourse on the movies you've recently watched. Us walking through, low light dropped over the estuary. The color of the sky the same as in Gone with the Wind, as in Warhorse, the final shots of each, or the light in the scene in The Outsiders when Johnny recites Frost at sunset. Both boys on the lam, hopeful yet uncertain, the poem declaring gold things will end. The light, our talk, those clever gulls. Thanks, Marcy, for having me back.
Well, I liked how you went from the gull to the poems to the movies and back to the gulls. That was cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good trip down the.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on and keep listening, but I just, yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to do this.
Yeah, you'll be in Old Town before long.
Yep, yep. Thank you again, Marcy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris. So, Jackie, you have been here all day, and you have heard so many wonderful poems. You're muted, though.
Yeah, I'm just enthralled and so blessed to hear all of these wonderful, wonderful poems.
Isn't it great?
Mm.
So let me read your bio, Jackie.
Okay, remember, you're the one that told me it should be funny.
Should what?
You're the one who told me it should be funny. So go ahead and read.
I'm glad I was proven right. Jackie Mao Robinson. What do you get when a truck driver marries a truck stop waitress and they take their little girl on their every trip along Route 66 for the first 5 years of her life, teaching her to read truck stop menus and Burma shave signs by age 3? You get haiku poet Jackie Mao Robinson. That's her. She's right there in front of the Red Rock Canyon out of Las Vegas. My foot is broken, my leg is broken, but my brain is also having problems here. It's probably the stress. Here's one I recall. Now this is Jackie's poem. Drove too long, driver snoozing. What happened next is not amusing. Jackie?
An old Burma shave sign.
Old Burma shave. I remember driving across the United States with my mom and us 4 little girls in the back, and we would all read those Burma shave signs out loud, and my mom sometimes would go crazy. Jackie, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much. Speaking of Las Vegas and the Red Rocks spires in the last flash of sunlight, petrified flame. Red Rock spires in the last flash of sunset, petrified flame. Where they joined the rivulet, meandering streams. Dragonfly fords the stained glass sky, the lights, the darks. A zephyr's worth of butterfly wings. Zen garden in the dawn stillness, unplanned butterfly. I walk in the garden reading Issa. Please pardon me. I walk in the garden reading Issa, spiders. on Fuji spider mums. Painting a garden gate, snow pea green. No worries here, just your garden variety vegan. Monarch migration, roof gardens to country farms, cabbages and kings. Forget-me-nots, blooms and memories more longing than bright. Garden Buddha listens to prayers small and not so. And I'll end with a Haiku that I call How Do. Ever notice when you grocery shop, pushing your cart up one aisle and down the next, that you find yourself facing the same shoppers coming the other way? They're making the circuit you are, but they started from the opposite side of the store. I'm guessing that next to never do you or the oncoming cart pushers say a thing to each other, no matter how many times you come face to face. But in the produce section, something happens to you and the same folks you wouldn't have thought to talk to, backed by the paper towels and cake mixes. You're thumping on watermelons, and a guy asks you how to tell if they're ripe. A young mom is having trouble getting her baby to stop crying, and you pause to admire the infant and ask if you can help her bag those tomatoes. Here, among the fresh fruit and vegetables, it's almost as if we're transported back to a rural time when growers brought their produce to the village square on market day. We may never have shopped anywhere except modern grocery stores, but somewhere inside us are the inherited memories stirred by the community we find among the onions and persimmons and squash. Clouds of steam furl over boiling mason jars. Gold autumn moon. And that's it.
Thank you, Jackie, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been so much fun hearing everybody and seeing your faces. Iggy's been with us for a while yet too. You're still muted, Iggy, but Ignatius comes from Canada to be with us today. He was instrumental with helping Parkman get my poem on what is that? Amazon.
Kindle Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about your book.
Yeah. Thanks. And I think Ignatius is a friend of many of us here on the screen because you're a voracious Googler.
Yeah. And after all the things I've heard today, I'm feeling decidedly out of my depth.
Oh, no. Everyone is a star here today.
Wonderful stuff today. Yeah.
Let me read your bio, Ignatius.
Lay it on us.
Okay. Ignatius is a disabled invertebrate paleontologist who writes poetry in various Japanese short-form styles. His work has appeared in many of the most respected print and online journals. He collaborated with Irene Golas on a collection of poems, Brechia. Is that right, Iggy? Is it Brechia?
It's a ch sound, Brechia.
Brechia.
Brechia, yeah.
Brechia.
Yeah.
In 2012. Brechia is a substrate, or is a rock or what
Yeah,
is it?
it's rock that's been broken up into angular fragments and then re-cemented into another rock.
Like metamorphic?
Well, no, it's just the result of tectonic action or an impact that broke it up, and then it's just fluids going through between the pieces, just cements it back together.
Wow. Sounds like
There's a lot of it around Sudbury because the Sudbury Basin was caused by an asteroid impact, and then in the breccia is where all the nickel and iron and stuff
sounds
formed during.
like conglomerate, right?
Yes, but conglomerate is usually rounded stones,
Okay.
whereas a breccia they're angular.
I knew I had read that word, but I wasn't sure what it was. So that's his book, Breccia, 2012. Ignatius edits the Haiku Society of America's monthly email newsletter and has done the layout for Frog Pond and the annual members anthology. He is regional coordinator for the Ontario region of Haiku Canada. Iggy lives up in Sudbury, which is north and very east of us. It's on the east shore, and it's in north of Toronto, right, Iggy?
Right.
And north of the Great Lakes and east. It's which Great Lake is it? Border?
Just east of east and north of Lake Huron.
Huron.
Yeah.
So that's why I called my section the Poets from Far and Wide, because after Iggy reads and maybe a ways down the line, I'll put on Chris Cook, who lives in Tokyo. But right now we are blessed with the presence of Ignatius Fay.
All right.
You're gone.
Okay. Just an assortment of things. And then I'll do something a little bit longer at the end. Windowsill, green tomatoes, stealing red from the sun. Raspberry picker jumps at a wasp sting. Red fingers, red lips. Young cucumber plants with 2 types of leaves. Options kept open. Summer begins. Again, that chipmunk digs up the onions. Finger deep to check soil moisture. Watering ban. Evening hum. Distant mowers. Nearby mosquitoes. A mosquito's irritating buzz. The thought that escapes me. The iris bobs with the bumblebee's weight. My silent pen. First green shoots of pepper plants. Rotting porch plank. Tiny twigs in the chipmunk's whiskers. Nothing to say. Warm and sunny. Young pansies don't survive the chipmunk. Their debate, where to plant cucumbers. Bug repellent. Her gloved hands, black with super soil. Her smudged cheek. Pepper plant sprouts. Thoughts that creep in no matter what. Lilies losing their petals. Past my prime. Last garden peas. Creamed on toast. Thoughts of mom. A wasp hovering in front of my glasses. Shucking first peas. Hail strips the daffodils of petals. Divorce papers. The last 2 cherry tomatoes. Next year's calendar. On the porch, she lights her old pipe. Fireflies. Iris sprouts, knowing when to stay and when to go. Crickets, the fuzzy underside of poplar leaves. Old greenhouse, not a pane unbroken. Purple thistles. Overtaken by an electric wheelchair. Poplar buds. Morning glories grope for the trellis. Street noise. Here's one of my favorites, naturally grown tomatoes that smell like tomatoes. Horse manure. Cool summer rain. The saturated colors in the garden. Birch trees and roses from the kitchen window. Alone again. Cool April. My tulips conspicuous in their absence. And I'm going to go find a little longer piece for me to end on. This was something that I thought was particularly special. Somebody did for me, and it's related to the garden. I call it, ooh, that smell. Early summer, she moves into the unit 2 down from me in the co-op. Very nice lady, a retired school teacher. We get along fine. She loves to garden. In short order, she has a beautiful display of flowers in a wooden garden box she made herself. In early fall, she has a nursery transplant a good-sized lilac bush near her entrance. It is lovely. Come spring and warm sitting on the deck weather, I am forced to stay inside. I have many allergies that trigger my asthma, which is severe, and lilacs are near the top of the flower list. Early spring, a rare sighting of a blue jay. I stay indoors a few weeks until the flowering stage is past. The 3rd summer, she puts the question to me, why do you not come out earlier to enjoy the warm weather? She is quite surprised and saddened by my answer. She apologized and says, had she had known, this morning, my attention is dragged from my breakfast by the sound of a motor nearby outdoors. From my back door window, I watch a small group of men cut down and remove the lilac bush. Warm June sun, writing poetry on the deck. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Iggy. That's wonderful. I remember that poem.
And I'm sorry I have to run, so I have to leave everybody. I can't watch the rest.
Well,
I'm late for something already, so I'm going to have to let you go.
thanks a lot.
So good to be here and see everybody.
Thank you so much, Iggy. So I was able to coerce my friend Chris Cook's son, into recording a couple of poems for us. Unfortunately, the sound isn't perfect, but he did manage to read 2 poems into his, I think it was his cell phone, I'm not sure. But one of them, he's up in the mountains near his apartment in Tokyo, and he's reading The Daffodils, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. And I'm sure you'll remember that, but the sound goes in and out, but it's still a beautiful poem. And then I sent him my favorite Mary Oliver poem about the snakes. And in that video, I'll share my screen in a second. In that video, he's got sakura behind him. He has a weeping cherry in bloom. And he's all dressed up in his finery because it was a holiday of some sort, and he was in the national cemetery in Tokyo. So let's see if we can do this. I'll share my screen. Desktop, share, and get rid of that. And wait, now I want to show, there's the daffodils. Can you see that okay?
Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
So you could see his binoculars. He's an ace birdwatcher and tour leader. And if it wasn't for Chris Cook-san, I never would have realized my dream of climbing Mount Fuji-san. He actually hauled me up that mountain. And here he is. Wait, come on. Yeah, here he is with sakura behind him, blooming cherry blossoms. Start.
The Snakes by Mary Oliver. I once saw two snakes, northern racers, hurrying through the woods, their bodies like two black whips lifting. The Snakes. The Snakes by Mary Oliver. I once saw two snakes, northern racers, hurrying through the woods, their bodies like two black whips lifting and dashing forward in perfect concert. They held their heads high and swam forward on their sleek bellies, under the trees, through vines, branches, over stones, through fields of flowers they traveled, like a matched team, like a dance, like a love affair.
So that's my friend Chris Cook-san. I went birding with him. The first trip we went out to Miyake-san, which is an island off the coast of Japan, and we saw the Izu thrush. And then we went down to this other island and we saw the most amazing rabbit. It's in its own family. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the rabbit, but it's prehistoric, and of course it's endangered. There are not very many of them. So we have some time. There's some people on here that are listening and have been listening all the time, and I was wondering if anyone would like to read something. There's Gabriel Gomez, Deborah Bowser, and Carolyn, your husband read from the train, but let me get rid of Chris here. Do you have any poems you'd like to read?
I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. Did you address me?
Oh yeah, do you have any poems you'd like to read?
Oh, thank you for asking. No, I'm a listener of poetry, not a reader or a writer. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate listeners very much.
Oh, my pleasure. I love this reading.
I do have my book actually, and I could read that first poem I told you about, April. The one that took 9 months before you said, okay, this is good, we'll publish it. And that was back and forth at snail mail. And the dedication, the page that has it's behind the title page. It's from Emily Dickinson. To make a prairie, it takes a clover and one bee, one clover and a bee and reverie. The reverie alone will do if bees are few. That's one of my favorites from Emily Dickinson. So April. My dog veers from where she heels beside me. Turning, I too see a doe in the beaver tail. The fine-boned mule springboks to high stands of black mustard. We both pause to watch each other. Some nerve deep within must tell her she is safe from me and my dear spotting dog, now sitting at my side. She holds at the crest, ears and eyes just above the yellow stipple of 1,000 mustard heads, framed by an empty ceruleus. We could end now, or I could read some more poems, or if any of you would like to read another poem, we are on. Jennifer let us be on till 1 o'clock, and we have, what, 6 more minutes? Or should I read another poem from my book? If this were live, you all would bring your books to sell. And, oh, Chris says for me to read another poem. Okay, I will. And yeah, and you would bring poetry books to give away and to share. And next year, maybe we'll be in the gardens again, in the beautiful gardens of Claremont. And I want to mention that the botanic gardens have all these plants that are just specific to California and to the coastal area. Jennifer, do you want to put in a plug?
Sure, yeah, we'd love to have anybody come and visit us. And as we said earlier, right now is Wildflower Month. So it's a great time to visit the garden, absolutely. There's all kinds of different flowers that you can come and see.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, to close this exciting day where we had so many wonderful poems, I'll read the title poem, Shinrin Yoku. And when I asked my Japanese friend what it looked like in the Anji characters, there were 2 characters. One was a mountain, and the other one was a picture of a bathhouse, which is an onsen, which is the hot springs that they have out in the wilderness, and you can just go with your towel and sit in a hot tub. So the Japanese translation of Shinrin Yoku is forest bathing. And we have website, Debbie, the website is Grace Guts. Is that Michael's website?
I think if you just do Grace Guts, let me see if I can find it really fast, okay?
Put it,
and I'll put it in the chat. Give me a second.
It's Michael Dillon West's explanation of forest bathing, and it's a really wonderful article if you want to look it up. She'll put it in the chat. Shinrin Yoku. Velvet fronted nuthatches, a matched pair, hang upside down on the guy wire stretching along the bridge between the towers. Long canopy walkway. Ulu Ulu, Brunei, where 5 towers rise above the forest floor. In the breeze, the bridge sways, ever so slightly. The nuthatches make whisper songs as they pick the smallest ants I've ever seen off the cables. Then the birds fly east, up the Timberong River, where only a few researchers and scientists are allowed to visit. The sun floats westward, while helmeted hornbills call far off. We untie our picnic bag, pull out deep-fried walking catfish, rice, spicy beef, 150 feet above green tree snakes and ferns. From the canopy nearest the first tower, golden mistletoe clumps among the healthy leaves, a commensalism that attracts one of the rarest birds in Brunei, the spectacled flower pecker that feeds on mistletoe berries, seen just 3 times here since first discovered in 2009. Only one way up here, this far, far place beyond any village, up 857 steps to the foot of the 5 towers. Gibbons call pre-dark, settling onto their sleeping branches. The nuthatches nestle together and wreathed hornbills court, their bonding cries echoing across the Ulu Ulu cloud forest. Chris Cookson took me there in 2019, and it was a marvelous experience. Thank you all. Does anybody else want to add anything? Any more poems coming? Dean, you've been watching all this time. Do you have any poems to share? Okay, we appreciate walkers. Walkers.
Thank you so much for everyone. It's been such a wonderful day of poetry. And the only regret is that we're not actually in the garden, but yet it's still been a lot of lovely nature poems, lots of wonderful images. Really, really appreciated all the work that went into producing this. Thank you all.
Thanks, Debbie. You said it for me. You want to go to the chat before we sign out? Everybody's written some really nice things. Carolyn said that was wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jennifer said, on behalf of the garden, let me read that to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My sentiments exactly. And it's exactly 1:01. Woohoo! We can go have lunch. See you next year.
Can't wait.
Wonderful experience. Just wonderful.
Thank you, Jackie.